Okay, welcome on, ladies. Today we're going to be talking about the 9 stages of healing from an affair breakup. So you're in a relationship with a married man, as the other woman, the mistress, and you've just ended the affair. And you might be wondering, you might have just ended it, literally. You might be planning to end it, or you might have ended it many months ago, 3 months ago, a year ago, 5 years ago, and you're wondering, when will I ever get over this? And there are 9 stages of healing from the affair breakup or from the affair uh, that I specifically went through, and I'm going to name them all for you today. It is generally these stages that you go through when healing from the affair. Each step is important and has a purpose, and each step you need to go through in order to fully come out the other side healed, free, detached, and obviously learning from this experience and seeing it as a gift. But if we don't fully go through each step, often we still remain attached to a degree. So today I'm going to be sharing about my own journey of healing and what steps I went through along the journey of healing. Um, I've done other videos on how long it took to get over an affair, your affair partner, and how long it took to heal from the affair. Every affair is different. But I want you to know, as you go through each stage of healing, it can bring up completely different emotion or feel like you're going backwards again because you're feeling all the emotion again, or you might have been feeling lighter and then suddenly you're going backwards and feeling all this grief come up again. Don't take that as this is going backwards. In fact, your subconscious mind is opening you up to more awareness and different levels of layers of thinking that it might have been closed to while you were going through the initial stages of the breakup. So, as you peel back some of these layers of the affair, then obviously you're going to tap into new levels of grief and new levels of understanding that, again, are challenging to digest emotionally. So this is healing. This is bringing you to the freedom and being free from this experience that you're seeking. But first, we do have to move through each layer of the emotions in order to free yourself completely. So I'm sweating a little bit. I probably should turn the aircon on. Okay, let's just get straight into it. So we've got 9 stages of healing. The first 2 stages, and all of these stages actually can be in your own order, but this is the order that I went through when healing from my affair relationship. The first stage and the second stage can be around the other way. I'm going to share the way that I experienced for myself and that you might experience, but just please know that everyone's different in their healing journey and the way that they're processing the affair relationship. So each stage could be slightly different. The first one is after you've just ended the affair relationship, you experience, you may experience just this feeling of powerlessness, numb, emotionlessness. It's kind of like leading up to breaking off the affair, you would have been experiencing so much emotion, so much cycles of thinking, like you're going around in circles and going nowhere. And so when you do eventually break off the affair, then it's just like numb. You don't even know what to feel. It's just you're at capacity. You've been at capacity for so long that once you get to the breakup, you are just frozen, numb, powerlessness, feeling like you can't feel anything at all. It's a lot to carry, and often our body just shuts down and freezes. So that is the first one, the first stage. The next one is grief. So again, you might experience these around different ways, but often what I notice with people is they experience the numbness, the just not feeling anything. And then after time passes and the contact with their affair partner is non-existent, then you hit into this grief of really understanding the reality that you have broken off the affair. And then when you go into grief, you go into all this shame, you go into regret, you go into like, where have I done wrong? Have I made the right decision? Maybe I've stuffed this all up. Maybe I am the problem in all of this. Constantly second guessing everything and going through all your actions and just doubting the whole situation in general, experiencing so much grief. This is where you can go back. So this is, I have a video on stages of no contact. I do really recommend, if you haven't ended the affair relationship, to watch that video of no contact. The reason being, when you break off the affair and you get into this grief phase where you're second guessing your decision, you're missing him like crazy and you're wanting to go back, it's super important to have, before you have broken off the affair, to have a clear goal in mind of no contact, so that you have something to follow through with when the grief is at its peak, so that you can look at this goal and know that you've set yourself 3 months of no contact, 1 month of no contact, whatever it may be, 6 months, but have something that is achievable. Sometimes 6 months can be so far away. So have something that is achievable, that makes sense, so that when you are in this like a lot of emotion that you're holding, you have this goal and you're like, just get to the end of this goal, and then you can decide and sit with the emotions that are coming up at the end of this time block, and then redecide what's going to be best for you moving forward. But if you don't have that clear goal, then you can instantly like fall into reaching out to him and going back because of the amount of grief that you're having to hold, and often having to hold alone because no one often knows about this experience, or because of the shame around this experience, you might not have opened up to some of your closest friends at the extent of what you're actually experiencing. So it's important to have that goal, and to state it with yourself, write it down, write down your why. When things are really hard in the affair, it's important to like write down why this goal of no contact is going to be very beneficial to you. Because when you're going through this grief, after you've broken it off, then often you're like doubting if you've actually made the right decision. The next one is seeking answers. So the third stage is like processing. After you've gone through a lot of grief, a lot of numbness, confusion, second guessing, then and you kind of coming up a little bit, you go through this insane processing period of like being like, what was that? Was it real? Was his love real? Was like, how did I get sucked in for so long? This processing on asking so many questions and seeing things from different perspectives. So you start reading heaps of books, listening to podcasts, understanding the experiences that you experienced with your affair partner from a different lens. And this can be, again, a whole nother wave of emotion is coming up because you haven't, while you're in the affair relationship, you just had your affair partner to process with. Whereas as you're going through this breakup, you no longer have your affair partner. So you begin to often open up to friends about this experience and start to like process a lot of what the affair was with other friends. And so you're going through this you might be talking it out with a lot of friends and actually starting to tell friends about what you went through and processing it with other people, talking to therapists, listening to books, podcasts, and you're just in this like, give me more information as to why this happened, why I held on for so long. Did he ever love me? What were his actions about? What were my actions about? And this in itself can bring up so much emotion because you can often feel like you've wasted a big portion of your life, you've been taken advantage of, that some of his promises weren't followed through, and that in itself can bring up let me just see the next one. No, so let me just, before I go on to a couple and jump ahead of myself, the next one is having aha moments. So um, you'll start to be like, whoa, this is actually what was going on. And you'll have these big shifts in the whole experience and seeing it for what it is, as opposed to the fantasy and the fairy tale you painted it to be. This is emotional. It's like taking off the rose colored glasses and suddenly seeing the relationship for what it is. And often, I know for me in my experience, I really just, my affair partner, I painted him in the best light. I think he also um, painted himself in an amazing light. And uh, when my rose colored glasses came off around this experience, it was painful because I saw that for me, in my situation in the affair, there was a massive age gap, and it wasn't right. It was a workplace relationship, and that isn't right. And so just seeing all this stuff and taking the rose colored glasses off around how much he had my back and everything like that was so painful to see. And once you start to have these aha moments, then that leads us to number 5, which leads us to like uncovering a whole nother level of emotion. When this emotion comes, for me, so you'll experience a lot of grief come up when you take the rose colored glasses off, just like a crash. For me, what happened in this stage of healing was I felt like all the emotion that I experienced in the affair was felt, like the grief and um, the lack of respect and things like that I had felt were always there, but I painted over a different picture to justify the actions that were going on in the affair. So I had the story and then I had my emotional experience, and they weren't lining up. But I lived through the story. Once my glasses came off, I immediately was able to access all the emotion and to see the real story. And it was like all this emotion came up of like all the tears that had been sitting there for ages, but not being able to be accessed because I had painted a different story of something beautiful. And so as soon as I could see it for what it was like I was validated. I saw what I was feeling. I acknowledged what I was feeling. And that was challenging. That was like all the emotion that I felt during the affair, all the tears just came out finally. And that was incredible because I felt like I could finally feel what I was feeling. And it was the emotion, the word, the new image of how I saw the experience matched the emotional feeling that I was experiencing. And so it being able to see it in that way allowed all the emotion to come up and bubble up. Often this is like being taken advantage of or repressed anger for like, hey, like a lot of your boundaries that you had given into and your values, your standards, and all of this stuff that you had like let go of in order to keep the affair relationship alive, you're honoring that. And so this anger comes up because of how much you had let go of parts of yourself in order to keep this affair relationship alive. The next one, number 6, is boundaries. So as you begin to heal from the affair relationship and notice where your boundaries were violated, you violated your own boundaries and didn't speak your truth, you begin to go through a stage of sharpening these boundaries, of learning to value and honor your needs, to be able to communicate your boundaries so that you don't allow yourself to be taken advantage of or to allow relationships with a lack of commitment into your life. And so you start to have more self-respect. You start to break this enmeshment cycle of losing oneself to be loved by your affair partner. So this next phase is quite empowering because you start to begin to have more self-respect for yourself and start to honor what you value, what you need in a partnership. And this can be done like, you might at all be in this dating phase. It's just like noticing in your relationships, in your work relationships, in your family relationships, in your friendships, where you have needs. I can't see my friend. I can't see you this weekend because I feel like I've been drained from the previous weekend and I'm just wanting a weekend to myself. Simple things like that, being able to communicate your needs so that you can honor yourself. This is a really fun stage of healing because you really start to take back your power. Next one is, so once you start to begin to set these boundaries, you have a elevated sense of self-worth. You get validated for your boundaries. So say, for example, when you say you can't meet the friend because you're wanting to have a weekend for yourself, you notice after that weekend for yourself, you feel so much more charged. You didn't overextend yourself, and you're noticing validation for the boundaries that you're setting. People are respecting, and then now you're honoring yourself and have more time for yourself, your cup is filled instead of at capacity and over giving, overflowing. So and then on top of that, you start to notice a freedom inside yourself because you're honoring yourself, people honoring you. So you're really starting to become aligned with who you are as a person. It's like you're stepping into your own sense of self as opposed to being enmeshed with other people's needs. Number 8 is lessons. As you begin to set boundaries, learn that these boundaries are valid and they actually are really working, then life brings you more lessons in order to sharpen where your boundaries are. The more personal work you do, the more you can just begin to spot where other areas of your life, your boundaries are leaky and need to be sharpened. This isn't, when you get more lessons, this isn't to be discouraged and be like, oh my gosh, I'm stepping back, or I've just met another partner and I really liked him and now I'm seeing that this relationship again is still unhealthy. Life brings you these experiences in order for you to continue sharpening these skills that you need to sharpen so that you can fully step into your sense of self. Life will begin to slow down these experiences and they'll no longer come into your life as you learn the lesson that you need to learn through this experience. So just know as you start to begin to really feel on a roll, then life will bring you some more lessons to zhuzh it up and get you exercised more on this boundary work. And I for sure noticed as I began really setting boundaries, then I just noticed a whole array of areas where I just had to sharpen boundaries even more, and they were leaky because the more boundaries you set, the more you notice there's areas for other boundaries to be put into place. And then the next one is just repetition. Life always calls for experiences of growth. So this is a continuous process. We are continually learning through life. And so you'll have experiences where you can sharpen, fine tune, notice where maybe your boundaries have been slipping and just sharpening them up. So as you begin to really honor your own needs, boundaries, standards, you'll just have experiences come into your life as ways to sharpen and notice where they could be falling short so that you can step back on your own alignment in this journey. So that is my own experience of healing from the affair relationship. How long did this take? This is definitely an experience where I continue to sharpen my boundaries, but I for sure know in the processing phase and really understanding what it was, it took a couple of years. It took a couple of years of really understanding and then dating and then seeing more experiences from different angles and then being able to take that experience and reflect it on my affair experience. It's been a real journey and it hasn't just been a 6-month experience. It's been something that has happened over years, and for that I'm truly grateful for. So If you are in this journey, I send you love. Please let me know what stage you're at. If I haven't said a stage that you feel that you're in right now or that you have experienced, please put it below for other people to see, because it really helps us to be able to see others' experiences and relate it back to our experience. So I hope that helps. Sending the love. Bye for now.